Just checking in here to make sure that the price didn't move on this Wednesday morning, and it looks like it has moved $1,000. But I wanted to talk about, seeing as there's nothing to talk about, Bitcoin market fatigue syndrome. And the only reason why I bring it up is because I find even myself has been suffering from it. Yes, even myself. And I didn't know what it was. I couldn't pinpoint it. Like, what was going on? What were these weird feelings I was feeling? And I noticed it when I would have my, your allotted time, your me time or whatever you want to call, where you go to YouTube and you watch your videos at a certain time. And I slowly realized it would come up on my feed and I'd be like, I'll watch this Andrew Wilson demolishes this leftist vegan video instead. And then I would also notice, like the titles, so supply shock. I'd be like, it's like the jargon and the narrative that I was hearing all the time was starting to, annoy me and fatigue me. And so I kind of just slowly stopped watching some of these things. And, I've come back to them, but I it's almost like more of a multi-weekly, if that makes sense, like every couple of days go back to see, because I know nothing's changed, right? So to watch a video, I can see what I've noticed also is I just like everything, I immediately go to the comment section, right? So I was watching this one guy. What's his name? Can't remember what his name was. He's just like a macro analyst. Does a bunch of stuff. Anyway, he's good. But I went into his comment sections because they keep on popping up, right? So like every time the comment is allotted to the time. So if you're 2 minutes in, you'll see a comment that was posted 2 minutes in, and the vitriol, I suppose, is the word vitriol that the comment section had for his analysis was almost borderline cruel. Like the poor guy was just, making mountains out of molehills, like talking about it. It's like talking about this chart. I can find mountains out of molehills, but really it's been doing nothing. And then the comment section was just like neutering him. And good for him for even attempting to make the content, the mountains out of molehills. And so if you wanted to make a mountain out of a molehill on this 4-hour chart, I would suggest maybe having a look at this higher low pattern. This is potentially a nice little bullish turnaround. If we just encompass it all, it's generally what we see when markets are about to turn around. Now we have the FOMC meeting today, which is listen, we like these FOMC meetings because we feel like it can be a monkey wrench into the system. Like the system's going one way, and then the geopolitics just comes and throws the monkey wrench into the front spoke, and we do an endo, and we crack our teeth, and the market changes. And it can jumpstart a market. It can also jumpstart a market to the downside. But we look forward to these because we feel like any news is good news at this point in the market. Now, historically, and I would say for the past 3 years, the FOMC meeting has been more or less a nothing burger. And I'm kind of expecting a nothing burger today. Like, as much as I would like it to be like the defining moment of the 2025 bull run, I don't know. Could it be what if he does reduce rates by a small amount? I guess it may be bullish. What I actually don't like is I say this all the time when we were about to have an announcement. I don't like run-ups to the announcement. And on this 4-hour chart, this noisy little so-and-so, it's a little bit of a run-up, right? It's almost like what some legacy analysts will call a bull trap, right? I would rather have seen more of a leg down before the FOMC meeting. But it's funny because we're all all suffering from Bitcoin fatigue, market fatigue syndrome. So we're so desperately searching for things he's going to say when really, it comes down to the cycle anyway. And until 2025 is over, this is why it's there's what are those sayings, about worrying is, stealing from your future or whatever. Until the 2025 year is over, we are still in this cycle. Now, was it broken because we hit an all-time high before the halving? Maybe. But I don't think you can say the entire cycle's broken just because one little data point is off, right? We can cherry pick many data points to make our thesis true or false. But we really have to see how this 2025 plays out, and then we can tell. Now, if the market is broken, let's say we do peak at 109, in early January. Well, this is the year of the cycle that we would peak. Now, where are we peaking it? I guess it's always kind of different, like historically, yeah. September, October, November, maybe Q4. But if you are suffering from BMFS, Bitcoin market fatigue syndrome, can you handle a summer bummer? That's the hardest part. Because I even think about this, like this channel, like you can't, if we enter a summer bummer for the next, 2 to 6 months, you can't do TA, technical analysis, on a stable coin. So, like, if you really think about it, we're having a slight little pump here. Okay, 84, but really, from 80. Let's see where's a stable coin. If 82.7 is it's a 1.3% pump from our stable coin position of 82.7. Now, there's not much to say. When, imagine if this channel was called Stablecoin Crypto Morning DA. Oh, yeah, it's 82.7 still. Obviously, these things change. Like if you go on to the daily chart, you can see we haven't even got over the 200 moving average. First things first, over the 200 moving average, please and thank you. You can always do prime rib cooking and cutting and cooking TA. Hey, Squeaky McGee, don't think I haven't. I've been meaning to do the 1 year carniversary, but I find I don't have the time. The reason why I want to make that video is because I have everything in that video that I wish I had at the beginning, if you know what I mean. Everything that I learned or had questions of, because it's a journey, right? It's really like a medical kamikaze of sorts. Like you don't really know what's going on. And for everything that goes wrong, you want an answer, and everything that goes right, you don't really care. So why I want to do that video is for anyone else who enters that carnivore diet aspect, they'll have basically all the questions answered. And I know there's a lot of clickbaity things in the carnivore because I fell for it. They do a reverse clickbait in the carnivore YouTube sphere. Well, they'll have like a headline that says carnivore, reduced my lifespan by, 6 years. Just like, a clickbaity bad title, but then the whole video is about how it didn't do it, right? So yeah, and making steaks, live stream the steak making because here's what I'm not so proud of, even though I've made, what is it? It's been over a year, so let's just call it 356. There's a couple days with some smaller steaks where there was more than one steak a day. Let's just call it 400 steaks. I cooked 400 steaks in a year, and I still don't get it right. I still don't have that, you see, for me anyway, in my feeds, I'll get all these how to cook a perfect steak, and I'm like, that's bullshit. Because I feel like every piece of meat is kind of different. The 3 minutes, butter basted, perfection. I don't know if that exists, but I digress. You can see here, before we had this leg down, the Trump leg down, we like to call it. Chadwick, you got to get a gas grill, man. That's the way to cook it. Yeah, you're right. I was thinking about getting one of those infrared ones that I've seen, but they're like $1,500. I'm like, do I really want to? So I haven't pulled the trigger on it. I started the carnivore on a barbecue, but that was even worse because I think my barbecue wasn't that great. Like, I don't know how better it could have been, but it just, I couldn't get that heat up. You know, you want that heat and that sear. So I moved in and started stinking up my house to high heaven, even my clothes. So like I forget, right, that I was just in a smokehouse kitchen as the cast iron was like smoking. And then I go to the squash club, and when I'm putting my clothes back on, I'm like, holy smokes, this stinks. I should probably barbecue outside, but I don't, because I'd rather do I feel like I have more control on the cast iron. Anyway, before the Trump leg down, we were sitting at 96.5 for how long? How long was that? 96.5. We enter 96.5. We exit. That was for 3 months and 4 days. 3 months and 4 days. But those were the good old days. Remember, we were close to 100K? Oh, the good old days. Now we're under 100K. Just the typical. Yeah, I've won a Meninja 4 Marinite overnight. What the thing I was fighting about is room temperature steaks. I was like, does it really have to be room temperature? Can I just take it? I'm hungry. Can I just take it out of the fridge, put it on the frying pan and cook it? Can I, like, I'm hungry. What, you know, and I've learned that if you don't, you know, let it get to room temperature, you have a higher probability of the dreaded gray band. You know, you don't get that perfect kind of pinky hueish perfection. Chadwick, put the cast iron on that gas grill. I like throwing my spice on early, so it behooves me to cook it outside. If you know the smoke, you know. Yeah. I know the smoke. I tried that. I tried the cast iron on the barbecue, but I that was the nail in my barbecues, because if it can't get that cast iron that hot, then maybe it's not as hot as it's saying. It's like the thermometer that cried wolf. It's like, that's not 600. That's not 600. If I can't get this cast iron hot, like if I can't get the sizzle, that's not 600. And that was the reason why we quit. Yeah, and so the good old days of 3 months, the fact that we had a 30% pullback. I remember saying, you probably remember this, before the 30% pullback, it's like, we're getting soft here, guys. We're getting soft. We can't even handle these 10%, 15% drawdowns. We're getting soft. And in my mind, my big fear was that the 30% pullback, which is normal. We had 6 to 8 of them, depending on whether you wick or candle close on the last one. So this would be our first pseudo-legitimate 30%. Now we had one in the summer bummer, you know, when we wick down to 49. So let's just call it our second, right? But we're still weak. For some reason, we got weak in our bearish prowess. Like, we can't sit through these. I myself too. I find it was easier in the bear market to sit in the weeds than it is in the bull market, because this is what we're really afraid of. We're not afraid of price not moving. We're afraid of the cycle being over. That is our true fear. That is why everyone has Bitcoin market fatigue syndrome, because we've been in a state of fear about the cycle top, right? And I don't know about you, but I don't remember having this fatigue syndrome in the 2021. I felt like it was coming at us so fast and furious that it was like you were, you know, getting constantly punched in the face, right? And then by the time, you know, you hit the ground at 20K, you're like, yeah, that was the top. But until that happened, there was so much going on, you know, that you didn't know which way was up. And I find now we have this this sense, this expectation, where we've been, where we want to go. And so to a certain degree, there's a fear of life not changing that much, right? So a lot of people have been sold and have engaged in their future with a sell price that would change their life, so to speak. So I think what's happening on that is that coming on the basement soon. I was going to go yesterday, but Drew was sick or something. I'm not sure. We keep it loose, keep it loosey-goosey there. I forgot what I was talking about. Oh, yeah, our fear of cycle top. Oh, yeah, our expectation of it. So the fear of cycle top means whatever stage of life we are in right now, we will be in it or less for another 18 months, right? So to a certain degree, life-changing wealth from FOCT, fear of crypto top. Yeah. The fear of the cycle top means life has not changed. So the life-changing wealth that would occur, we're having a little bit pumped now, 84.1, nothing to write home about, but I mean, look at this. We're not even above the 200 moving average. What is that? That is 84.5-ish, let's call it. Really don't pick up the phone unless it's 84.5. The life-changing crypto gains happen from the previous holders' buys. You know, like if you bought multiple Bitcoins, and I don't know anyone who's bought, oh yeah, I do know one actually. I found out one. He's this, a friend of mine at the squash club. He had like a brother who something was wrong with him. Now I don't know what was wrong with him. I just thought he was like socially inept, but he was an early Bitcoiner. Like we're talking, had he held it, he'd be, worth hundreds of millions. But of course, like most people, they get in early. Like we're talking 2011, 12, 13, right? Buying, in the thousands of Bitcoin. Now this is a common story. Where are we? 84.5. Here we are. We'll just keep this here, see if we get above her. 200 moving average. This is the common story where, the real hero's journey is not selling. Like who wouldn't buy 1,000 Bitcoins at, $4 or whatever, and then it goes to 10Xs. That's the most unbelievable investment anyone's ever made in their life. Now, how they held it, it's a different story. But he sold it. He sold it many times. So he ran it up, sold it, was in the weeds, lost money, right? He wasn't always like a Bitcoin genius. And then he managed to hold on to 20. And so but his cost basis is so low that these prices are life-changing for him. Now, if you've been accumulating through the bear market and this bull market, your cost basis won't be life-changing at 109K. That begets the next 18 months of a bear market to sit through. Now, this is where low time preference makes everyone a genius, right? So let's just say, hypothetically, you decided to deploy the rest of your dry powder at 84. And then the summer bummer comes and there's no top, and we sink back down to say 69. So you're spending, 18 months with roughly, 25%, 30% in the weeds, which is not bad. When you really think about bear market downtrends, being 30% in the stink is not so bad. But let's just say you're 30% in the stink. And everyone would be saying, oh my God, you bought at 80? What, are you stupid buying at the top? Well, then don't you know any better? Don't you follow any trading gurus? Didn't they tell you that it wasn't the top? I do. I follow all of them, and they all told me to buy. And so you got to sit there for 18 months in the stink, 30%, and then, the next bull run, it comes back to 89, and then the new 89 becomes 109. And so your cost basis is always ahead of you. Most people. Now, getting into this bull market, most people's cost basis might be between here and 109, right? So that's where the mega pain. But I don't really think there is a lot of retail. For instance, I don't know any. Right now, if you know anyone that got in, 109 to 85 here, let me know, because I don't, and I'm always asking people. Chadwick, I'm trying to play the spot game myself. I refuse to buy a significant amount here in the bull market. I throw my back out accumulating during the bear. I'm going to stay on the correct seesaw side here. Yeah, it's tough because low time preference kind of heals all wounds too, and it takes you out of the game, and you don't get so emotionally involved. Like what I found with my trading friends, back in the day, currency, they all blew out. And I feel like it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, because we're talking about the best traders. Now, these are pro traders, like I always talk about. They're pros. They know what's coming on the FOMC meeting. That's why they're pros. Now, if you don't know what he's going to say or all the little weird things, that's a clear indicator you're not a pro. That's just is black and white, because these guys that I knew, they knew that shit. And so to see them blow out, I can only come to the conclusion that they wanted out. And to a certain degree, I understand why they wanted out, because when I was currency trading, I wanted out. I was slightly stuck in this ecosystem where there was money to be made, but in order for me to, so I always take time is the most valuable currency. So the time it took me to trade currency, like these small, we're talking about a 5-minute chart, the Euro US currency pair. On the 5-minute chart, just set up a trade and wait for a trade. We're talking about like waiting 2 hours for like literally could be 25 seconds or less of the trade getting launched and, take profit or stop loss. It was that was how much time it took to make those trades. And once you deviate from that, you basically start to lose. But with the reason why I got out is that when music started calling again, the idea of getting paid to play gigs, these corporate events and stuff, I'd already put in 20 years of, learning how to play stupid songs. And so now it was all free money, right? So the amount I had already put in the time, and now I could reap the rewards of this. So long story short, I was looking for anything to kind of get out, because also full-time trading is 24/7. Yeah, there's, a little break in the weekends because the thing shuts down. But, it's the London session opens at 1 to 3, depending on the time zone. So there's all night, right? The London session is pretty volatile on the open. And then you got the New York open and it closes and opens. Those are the little goalposts where you got to set up your trades. But outside of that, you're, being in Bitcoin, you're watching the news, you're all of a sudden you're watching live streams of the FOMC, the most boring live stream you could ever watch. You're watching all these press conferences. You never would normally watch that, right? But they're all important when you're in the Bitcoinosphere. And so it takes up all your time for these small little trades. That's why I find these pro traders, they like to get close to the sun and blow out. They have a reason to get out, and the pain's over, so to speak, and they get their time back to a certain degree, because you can't be that great, you can't be that professional, you can't be that upside trader if you're not 24/7 like these part-time traders. I wish them the best. I don't want anyone to blow out, but full-time trading is hard, let alone part-time trading, because you're just kind of like, hey, what's up? I'm going to trade today. What's up? Right? You need the history of the day-to-day minutia of the market to fully understand. We did get rejected from the 200 moving average, which brings on early onset Bitcoin market fatigue syndrome. Oh, what's wrong? I don't know. I can't explain it. I'm just, it's just annoyed. Did the daily chart get rejected from the 200 moving average? Is that what we're... No. Yeah, it did. Well, that's why you have Bitcoin market fatigue syndrome. It's a common symptom. It usually brings on when we get rejected from certain metrics, we get the Bitcoin market fatigue syndrome. And of course, the most important chart of this bull market is right here. And I know we did this last week. Nothing's changed, but I would just like, if there is anyone watching this for the first time, this is your opportunity to screenshot this, because this is the most important metric of this bull run so far. So if you haven't screenshotted, let's screenshot it together. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, of course, the reason why it is the most important metric is because all bull runs come off the top, the cycle top, and they have a relief rally up to the 38.2% fib in and around. We're talking about hundreds of dollars plus or minus. Let's give it 1,000, right? Let's go 89 to 92. And anyway, that once they get rejected from there, that becomes the omen that we are now entering the bear market. Doesn't mean it's not 100%. Listen, nothing's 100%. But we went, in previous videos, we went through this. All bull markets did this. Hit a top, rejected 30%, tried to get over 38.2% fib, got rejected, and that was it. There was denial. We sat in denial for a good 6 months, but that's what we do. We spend most of our time in denial, and then 12 days a year, we're basically strutting around like economic geniuses. Oh, yeah. Oh, you didn't catch that one? No, you don't. Time in the market. All the jargon. We know all the jargon. A Wit classic. I saved this just for the expression. Well, this is what I'm looking forward to. This relief rally getting to here, because I'll make some impromptu videos, like whatever time it is, just so you guys know, I'll make a live video at that point, because I'm putting my money where my mouth is, putting my mouth where my money is. What is this? What is that said? Anyway, this is it. So it's one of the most important metrics that we can ever see in this bull run so far. And I'm hoping that we blast through it. Because if we don't, we'll be watching FOMC meetings with a sad tear drawing down our face. But not today. Not today, folks. Let's keep the spirits open. We're in a bull run. We've waited this long. Patience. Vitamin P.
Make sure you like and subscribe and share